Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to mitigate CVEs and other vulnerability disclosures that you may see from Palo Alto Networks. To do this, we're going to look at the security.paloaltonetworks.com website. First thing I encourage you to do is come over here and subscribe to be sure you're getting notifications when new common vulnerabilities and exposures are published. And some of them you'll see are really only affecting super old versions of PanOS. And so as long as you're keeping relatively current on our newer versions of PanOS, you're covered and there's nothing really new you need to do. Some versions, however, are more recent and are affected by certain risks. For example, this one here with a score of 7.5, it is network exploitable. And you can see as we go down, there are many current versions of PanOS that are affected, and in some cases hotfix releases were put out to mitigate this vulnerability. A lot of people begin to panic when they see this because they immediately think, oh gosh, I have to schedule an emergency change window, I've got to get upgraded all of my however many firewalls I have, and that can be quite a daunting task. But I encourage you, before you panic, scroll down and look at the solution first, right? The best solution is to upgrade to one of these unaffected versions and you're good. But in the meantime, there are these workarounds and mitigations. For example, you can see we've created threat signatures with these two IDs that are meant to mitigate this vulnerability. Now, how do you apply these mitigations is really going to be the focus of this video. So what I want you to do is become familiar with Threat Vault first of all. The site is threatvault.paloaltonetworks.com. You will need to log in with your same account that you use to log into the Palo Alto Networks support portal. And then as you look at the different threat IDs, for example 91820, punch that into the search bar, hit enter, and you can see, all right, this was introduced in content release 8486, and it was last updated in content release 8486. And as long as you have 8486 or newer, you would be good. I also want you to pay attention to the severity level, in this case, high. The other one, 91855, let's look at it. Notice the same content version, 8486. The severity in this case, however, is medium. Once you know this information, pivot over to your next generation firewall or panorama. And if you're in panorama, make sure you're under device deployment dynamic updates. If you're on the firewall, just go to device and then dynamic updates. Collapse your antivirus, pay attention to the applications and threats. Scroll down until you see 8486. This is where we introduced this package. And if we look at the date and timestamp, several releases have come out since. I currently have 8488 installed, right? And so I have the mitigations that were introduced in 8486 because they can carry on in subsequent releases. So once you know you've got a threat or a content update that's installed that includes these mitigations, next go over to the Objects tab, and I want you to go down and look at your vulnerability protection profile. If you have one that you use, life will be easy. If you have several, as you can see I do, you might need to consult a couple. Which one you really should focus on is up to you, but I would encourage you to go look at your security policy and figure out which rule is permitting Global Protect traffic inbound to the portal and or to the gateways, and make sure that whichever vulnerability protection profile is associated with that security rule be the one that you really focus on. In my case, it's going to be this MyVP profile. And you can see here I've got several rules within the profile because this was a clone of the strict profile, and I have maintained the actions that came with the strict profile. And I can see that in a high severity and a medium severity case for both the client traffic and for the server traffic, I am utilizing an action of reset both for both of them. So that means when in either direction, client to server or server to client, if this signature is triggered, the action for the overall session will be to reset both the client and send a TCP reset to the server. So again, lastly, make sure that that's created, that rule exists for those severity levels, and then go find your Global Protect rules. And I'm just going to update this really quick. Oh, that's it. Yeah, GP-N is the name of the rule I want. So this is the one that's granting access to my portal. And if I scroll over here, you can see I have a security profile group applied. The name of that group is called default. So there's one additional lookup I need to do to look inside of my security profile groups at default. And sure enough, that profile I was just looking at, my VP, is applied. So just the net, make sure that to cover yourself until you can get to an upgrade maintenance window, that you know which content release the threat signatures are included within that mitigate the vulnerability. Make sure that you have that content release installed. Make sure that you have a security profile that has an action other than allow or alert, because allow means let it happen with no log. That's very bad. Alert means let it happen but generate a log. That's more IDS functionality. And best is reset both, or reset the thing you're most concerned about. If it's inbound traffic, and it would be the server, right? The Global Protect gateway or portal is the server in the context of the traffic flow, and make sure that the action is at least reset for that. And then make sure that that profile is assigned to the security rule that's permitting the traffic in, and you have effectively mitigated the risk until you can set aside time at your earliest convenience to do the upgrade to an unaffected version. I hope this video has been helpful for you to understand how you can leverage our CVE disclosures, the workarounds and mitigations that you see here to keep yourselves protected and secure as quickly as possible. So thank you so much for watching.